Welcome to Ravensdale Bible Academy. Today in our class, Think Again Christian Fact Check, we're looking at the slide, Google, don't be evil. Now the question is, how can an organization that has no absolute values even identify what evil is? And so Google's real motto has been, don't be evil. So that's what they'll tell their employees. Hey, look, don't be evil, right? Well, I find that very interesting because a company that supports one like a very progressive liberal agenda that would include things like abortion. Two, it censors conservatives regularly, and that doesn't seem to be good. Three, it doesn't have a problem with things like, highlighting pornography. And then again, four, Google has no basis for what evil actually is. See, Google embodies a postmodern philosophy that begins with religious skepticism. It begins with the idea of, well, there is no God. I mean, so if the company itself is not like a Christian nonprofit and the ownership is not promoting biblical values and it is espousing the opposite of those values, then we can make the deduction that, well, this is not a Christian company or organization. We can look at their bylaws, we can look at their mottos, their vision, their purpose statements, and there's nothing in there that has anything to do with any kind of Christian mission, vision, purpose, or plan. And so their company is really a typical postmodern company. I mean, they're there and they exist to make a buck, no problem with that, but they also have a ideology. They also have religious leanings when they're polled, and we see that 95% of them are, vote Democratic. I mean, there's a pretty big swing when we have internal videos that come out and surface, and we see that the heads of departments, that the ownership is very, very liberal. We know they're taking a political position. Again, postmodern, you're going to hear this term an awful lot, and it's really important that you understand what postmodern means. First, you have to think skepticism in there being a God. Number two, you have to think in terms of subjectivism, meaning everything's subject, right? There's no objective truth. And then three is this idea of relativism, moral relativism. It's situational ethics, right? It depends. And so these are big words to say, well, again, there's no God. So if there's no God, well, there's no objective truth, right? I mean, who's ordaining this objective truth? There are no absolutes. Everything's, relative. And so the takeaway for that as a human being is I'm autonomous. I am my own God. I make the rules. I do what I want. I can try whatever I want. I have the right to do whatever I want, how I want it, when I want it. I can do that. That's kind of the hallmark of and the cry of the postmodernist age is let me do whatever I want, leave me alone. Don't tell me what to do. And the other flip side of that is who are you to judge me, right? Well, the Bible has something to say about that. And so the scriptures, like in Romans 1, well, we have an idea of what evil is. What does Google say what evil is? Well, I'll tell you what the Bible says what evil is. Evil's this. Romans 1:28 states this, that God gives them over to a depraved mind to do the things which are not proper, which are wicked, which are evil, sinful, being filled with all unrighteousness. So unrighteousness is evil, wickedness is evil, greed, evil's evil, full of envy, murder is evil, strife is evil, deceit is evil, malice, gossips are evil, Hey, somebody may object or subjectively think in their postmodern belief, gossip's okay. Gossip's fun, right? That's not what the scriptures say. Slanderers, haters of God, insolent, arrogant, boasters, inventors of evil, disobedient to your parents, without understanding, untrustworthy, unloving, unmerciful. So these are things that the Bible states are are are, are sinful, are wicked, not evil, not good. Now, I want you to contrast this with something. So I Googled, right? I Googled, the definition of evil. I Googled the definition of evil, and it was funny because one of the definitions had to do with bad morality. Well, how can you define morality if you believe in subjective truth, right? There is no morality if everything's subjective. I thought that was interesting. The other thing that I thought, which really is telling with Google, is if Google's motto is "Don't be evil," right? And that means they're telling you, "Don't be evil." You would think they know what evil is. I thought it was funny because on the funny meaning ironic, because their 13 photo image of what evil was a picture of Donald Trump. And there were 3 pictures of Trump within like the first 30 pictures. So think of that for a second. That Google is telling you by picture definition that the epitome of evil is Donald Trump. Does that sound like they're, like that they have a grasp of what genuine, the reality of wickedness and evil is, or do they have a subjective bias? That's our question. That's our fact check. Who are they to tell us or tell even themselves what evil is when they have no absolute values? As believers, we anchor, the anchor of our soul is Christ. We anchor in the first words of the Bible in Genesis 1. In the beginning, God. God is self-evident. God was there in the beginning. God created the heavens and the earth. That means God owns the heavens and the earth. God owns the earth. God owns you. God is the absolute being. He's the absolute creator. He creates absolute values, laws, commandments, right? He is the absolute moral law being. It's God who defines what good and evil is. It's God who tells us what an abomination is. That an abomination is a lying tongue, right? That's wicked and evil. Now, you know what? We might take a vote around a Harkness table, and people have a different definition of what right or wrong is. But as Christians, we don't make that determination. We go to the scriptures, and the scriptures, which is God breathed, tells us what good and evil is. And so when Google says don't be the evil, again, I find that a joke because they don't have a constitution, they don't have law, so they don't have moral convictions. Where are their moral convictions to not be evil? They're at best, half of the country completely agrees with them, right? Let's give it to them. But that means the other half of the country doesn't. Is that good? That seems pretty subjective to me. So in conclusion, look, Google has no foundation. They have no foundation, no definition, no determination for what good and evil is. They're anti-God, anti-Christian, anti-Bible. I would call that evil. They wouldn't. They would call it postmodern, right? They would call it free. They would call it humanism. They would call it something else. They seem to promote and profit off of wicked things like abortion and promoting abortion as a good thing. Promoting pornography is a good thing. I don't think that's good. They violate our beloved and coveted Constitution by banning, violating free speech of conservatives. I think that's a horrible thing. So today, when we take a look at Google, don't be evil, think again, Christian. May God richly bless you.